The principle of scarcity involves the notion that consumers value goods that are scarce. People tend to value those things in life that are in short supply or difficult to obtain or rare more than they value those that are plentiful or easy to obtain. Stephen Borchell and his colleagues demonstrated the scarcity principle in a classic study way back in 1975, and many students have had fun replicating the results still today. These researchers offered individual participants, so one at a time privately, a free chocolate chip cookie. Participants got to choose from two supposedly different brands that had presumably been up for sale that day. The platter of one was almost sold out, almost empty. The platter of the other was still mostly full. It's important to know that although participants were led to believe differently, the cookies were all the same. Cookies from the scarce source, though, were more likely to be chosen and rated significantly higher. Frequently, scarcity is a product of a deliberate marketing strategy. Luxury items, for example, derive a major part of their value from deliberately reduced availability. IWC or Rolex jewelry brands cannot be found in your average supermarket, right? They can only be found at select dealers. And even then, models are frequently sold out or sold as limited editions. Also, time limits on availability and dwindling supplies may be used to stir up scarcity perceptions. When only one product is available or left in stock, the scarcity principle comes into play. And salespersons can even further boost it by conjuring up false competition. In other words, something like, just between you and me, a woman who is interested in this necklace is planning to return tomorrow, so we may not have it for very long. Sometimes scarcity is created unintentionally when products are banned. Consider what happened to the prices of alcohol in the United States during the Prohibition, or the price of Cuban cigars when their sales were banned here. There is a very simple but powerful explanation for the last principle we're going to look at today, the loss hurts principle. As we discussed in a prior lecture, it is significantly more difficult for humans to lose something than to never have had it at all. Remember the ownership effect. Remember that? So this can also be used as a deliberate technique. As a social influence technique, this is called the ownership technique. When salespeople encourage perceptions of owning a product, even if just for a few minutes. Think about it. Salespeople urge you to try on clothing, to try on makeup. They will let you begin customizing the home screen of a treadmill, maybe that you're considering, and prompt you to try their vacuum on a messy carpet, etc. Another prime example is rent-to-own stores. Turning a product back over that you have enjoyed having in your possession is so much more difficult than simply deciding not to buy the same product if you had never owned it. At one time in the past, a cell phone company gave their unlimited talk and text only customers free unlimited data. Suddenly, people who had never been able to before were using their phones as a GPS to check for next ride times on public transportation, to check their email, and to ask, OK Google or Siri for nearest restaurants, all for free. No one could believe it until 1 month later they were informed that this was a 1 month free trial. And in order to keep this ability, they would need to upgrade their plan. Ouch. In all fairness to the cell phone company, they did offer it at the best price on the market. But still, Many more of their customers upgraded than would have if they had simply advertised the reduced rate, because after they got used to owning these capabilities, they didn't want to lose them. Remember our vignette about Bill, Pete, and the automobile sale at the very beginning of this lecture? Go back, replay it, and see if you can identify all of the social influence principles and associated techniques used by Pete. See your instructions for this assignment. Don't try to do this without seeing your instructions first. And those instructions can be found in your module to-do list. Okay, so here's a few tips derived from this lecture. You should, again, be able to come up with so many more, but here's a few to get you started. Remember the lowball technique. If a salesperson commits to a deal and then reneges, call his or her bluff. Politely state that you are prepared to buy at the agreed upon deal and are really disappointed but cannot afford any more. Sincerely thank them for trying and walk out. No chance for them to talk anymore. Walk out. There are two possible conclusions if you are really nice and polite about this. One, you are pursued and reoffered the initial deal, or two, you are allowed to walk away. Either way, you win, because if this does not call the salesperson's bluff, you're better off not working with that company anyway. Tip number 2. Don't fall for bait and switch. Politely request your written rain check slip if a company is out of an advertised sales product. Companies are required by law to provide these slips and then honor the sale price when they restock the item. Tip number 3. I love this one. Oftentimes, people fall prey to the reciprocity technique because it is hard enough to say no, let alone say no after someone has given you something, even when the so-called gift was falsely and manipulatively represented as a no-obligation gift. When you suddenly discover that you accepted something that was meant to make you feel obligated, try pleasantly saying, "No thank you," to the following request and promptly walking away. No thank you instead of no. You'd be surprised at how much easier this is to say than no. Then go enjoy your free gift in good conscience. This one is so cool. If you try no other suggestions from this class, you've got to try this one. The next time you feel obligated to say yes, but don't want to, try seeing how much easier it is to say no thank you as opposed to no. Okay, this concludes our lecture on social influence techniques and completes 3/4 of this class. After your third exam, in the final quarter of this class, we will explore many forms of consumer identity and contemporary frontiers in consumer psychology. And here's your promised guerrilla marketing example, and I wish you the best on your exam.